Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Harman case study, which is entitled Working Collaboratively with Suppliers to Share Costs and Optimize Transparency. I'm Terry Joyce, and I'm a Customer Success Manager within aPriori, based in the UK. And I'm very happy to introduce to you Daniel Nagy, who is the Director of Best Cost Analytics at Harman. Harman have been a customer of ours for 2.5 years now, and it's been my pleasure to work very closely with Daniel over the last 18 months or so. 3 years ago, Best Cost Analytics didn't even exist within Harman. And in that time, Daniel has built his team from scratch and now has over a dozen highly skilled users generating enormous value for Harman on an annual basis, primarily in sourcing. Supporting Daniel in the wings is Gina Gotza, and she will be managing the questions during the chat. Gina is a very talented super user who remarkably picked up and leveraged Cost Model Workbench pretty much from week one in order to reduce time to value for Harman, but has also been very instrumental in driving continuous improvement within Daniel's team. I know that Daniel has a terrific presentation in store for you, but without further ado, over to you, Daniel.
Thanks, Terry. You know what? I was getting a little bit emotional when you did your introduction. Actually, I was looking back in the last 3 years, and you know, it's such a great opportunity for me to build up this functionality at Harman. So thanks for the introduction, Terry. So welcome everyone from my side as well. So as Terry mentioned, the next topic is around collaboration and cost transparency. As mentioned, my name is Daniel, and I'm the guide of this topic. So before we start, I would like to start with a polling question. Let's see what is the question. The question is, have you ever been in a situation where you didn't get the level of transparency from your partner as you have been expecting? So to answer this polling question, please go back to the website, the Cost Insight Possible website, and next to the small chat icon, next to it, you will see the pause icon. And if you are clicking on that one, you are able to submit your responses. And Terry, I would like to ask for your help to see whether our audience is getting familiar with that and if we are getting answers. Can you help me a little bit?
Yeah, sure, Daniel. Yeah, we are getting a small number of votes in. So I think we just need to give it a few more seconds, Daniel, but it's pretty much 100% at the moment, yes. We've only got 12 votes in, but it's 12 yes and 17, so it's jumping. So it's pretty much a yes. Everyone's saying yes, Daniel. We're now up to 21.
Yeah. So guys, please click, continue clicking on the poll. I'm very interested about the answers. Actually, this is, I think, a quite obvious question, and I'm not really surprised about the answer. And I appreciate that aPriori selected this topic for us because I think everybody in cost engineering is one day or another facing with this situation. So let's take a look on our agenda for today. So first, I would like to introduce Harman to you and myself as well. And I just wanted to share another personal experience with you guys. So I just wanted to share with you that if you see next time Terry or Craig or any of your aPriori counterparties calling before the event is coming, I wanted to suggest you to be careful with that, because I can tell you they are having such a nice staff that you will not be able to say no to them. I'm not the guy who likes to make big speeches. It was a little bit difficult for me, but of course I appreciate the opportunity that I'm here with you guys. So today we are talking about transparency and partnership. These goes along with each other. We will discuss the importance of having a process during this journey. I will share with you one communication example we are using. And to be a little bit more practical at the end, I will share with you a handbook which is summarizing which options you might have next time if you are facing with the transparency challenge. So first, let me share with you Harman's introduction video, just to give you a basic understanding about what is Harman all about. Please ensure that you turn the volume up. You will hear some nice music.
Born to fly and let the moment drown the whole world out. Let's close our eyes and let the moment drown the whole world out. We're in this together. Hear our hearts beat together. We stand strong together. We're in this forever. This one's for you. This one's for you. This one's for you.
Okay, so I hope everybody enjoyed that. So I would like also to hear your feedbacks about the video. I personally very much like the video, especially because of the music. So just in a nutshell, if I need to introduce Harman, Harman is quite unique in terms of that it's not just leader in the areas in automotive business, mainly in car audio business as we used to call it, and connected car, which are more the dashboards and infotainment systems in the cars, but also leader in consumer and professional businesses in terms of audio devices, video devices, and some studio equipment. Sorry about that. So again, just a slide about myself. My name is again Daniel, Director of Petcost Analytics. My background originally is automotive engineering, but in the last decade, my responsibility was around value and cost engineering at different firms. I truly believe that cost engineering, if it's well done, it is one of the most powerful tools in the business to optimize profit. But there is a very important but, which I want to share with you. So in my opinion, it doesn't really matter if you are able to calculate parts in minutes or your cost model is the most accurate in the business, if you don't have inputs from your supplier which you can compare with. So in the next couple of slides, I will talk about how to create that transparency, which is enabling discussions with the partners and plan how to realize the desired competitiveness, which we are all targeting for. So let's start from the very beginning. So humans and organizations are making decisions in two very different ways. Humans often do emotional decisions. Meanwhile, companies are doing more rational decisions where reliability, features, quality, and cost are the drivers of the decision. If we want to visualize the rationality of the decision by customer time, this is what we can see. So in tier 1, 2, and OEM levels, we make the most rational decisions. Meanwhile, if we think about the person planning to buy a supercar, most probably that person is more listening what is here in his heart. But no matter who you are, your trust in the seller is actually depending on the transparency you are getting from the seller. So let's make it a little bit more abstract even. If you imagine yourself standing in front of two very similar products in a shop with very similar price tags, let's imagine on the left side, you see just the price tag. On the right side, you see quality KPIs, you see what features the product is providing to you, and you see a detailed cost breakdown. Why do you need to pay that amount of money? That would be very interesting in real life, right? But if I would ask the question, which one would you choose? It would be quite obvious. Everybody would go with the transparent solution. Now we should also talk about definition of the transparency, because this might be very different by functions and by tiers as well. somebody from a cost engineering department, if you make them upset, maybe want to know the fuel consumption of the bus which is bringing the employees into the office. A purchaser might be interested about the production cost, and in the meantime, maybe a supplier is answering, hey, this is the market price you need to pay. So on the right side, you can see that as we are going deeper and deeper into the supply chain, the customer would like to know more and more about the cost. So all in all, the takeaway is that transparency level needs to be defined, and it needs to be aligned as well with the participants. It needs to be detailed enough that the cost elements can be clearly assigned, so there is no room for mixing up the cost based on the different allocation methods by the different companies, but also not overshooting, as this might create unnecessary workload for both partners. So on the next slide, we can see what we call the partnership pyramid. As we discussed, to avoid the fears which are limiting the transparency, you need to build trust, you need to build real partnership. As we say, we want to target win-win-win situations, which means for us, business win for the tier 2 and the tier 1, and market share improvement for the OEM. To be able to call each other partners, we need to drive certain things. We need to align on values, we need to develop plans together, we need to consider risks and investment fairly, provide long-term planning, as this helps each other to reduce the concerns and take more risks. Regular communication on working and management level is also very important, giving negative but also positive feedbacks to each other, and reward to each other in case of successes. So if you want to talk about what is really influencing your leverage to get the transparency, this is what we can see. First of all, you need to choose the right partner, and you need to take care about the business shares. So obviously your power is very important in the business. Business models, some of the business models are used to provide transparency due to the number of competitors, for example, in the market. Some others not. Global economy plays an important role. Format can influence and motivate and demotivate suppliers. Your influence on existing partners versus new partners is obviously different. You have all experienced that. Culture, some of the culture are more open to share information, and internal alignment and knowing the interest of every party is also very important in this game. So both customers and suppliers having needs, right? So once you have studied the needs of your partners, you can think about what can you provide in return for the transparency you're looking for. So on the next slide, I will talk about the process. And this will be a very high level process, but hopefully will help you to understand what I suggest to do in terms of driving transparency. So you should start with the template, which is enabling the analysis you want to do. Then you want to train people, not just externally, but also internally. Set expectation in regards what values you want to choose, what you want to use, but also how should be the template utilized. Get the information from the supplier is very important, building the partnership. Build an analysis tool which is helping you to consume big data, because I can tell you one day you will have so many data that you will not be able to work anymore with Excel. Give positive and negative feedbacks to the supplier. At the end, agree on the pricing and define next steps if there is a gap. So I also have created this summary for you out of a very long presentation which we use to engage our partners. So this is just a nutshell of it, but what we are doing, those engagements, that we talk about quality, importance of cost of non-quality. We talk a lot about deliveries, where on-time deliveries are very important. And we very much emphasize cost. We talk a lot about best initial cost. What does that mean for us? We talk about data-driven cost transparency, cost competitiveness, and what do we expect from the partners in terms of identified gaps between our calculation and their calculation. Of course, innovation and foundation are other important aspects during those discussions. So finally, let's get a little bit more practical here. So let me share with you the handbook. And remember, this is something maybe helping you if you try to find a way how to get the transparency you want to achieve with your partner. So let's imagine that your partner is delivering goods to you, which you are paying in return. let's say you not just want to have the goods now, but you also want to have the transparency. First thing you want to try is that you are creating the win-win situation as we have been talking about. By that way, you have a very good chance that the transparency is provided to you. So second, you can pull in a new challenger. So very often, a new challenger with transparency is motivating the existing partner to provide also the transparency as the newcomer. 3, you can also play Hunger Games. So what do I mean under Hunger Games? There are certain periods in the economy when the business is getting more hungry for new business. You want to take that opportunity for ask for more details. 4, you can get internal allies. You can visit the supplier. It does matter a lot if you are the only one who is asking for those details or it's coming from the DNA of your company. Majority of the information you want to get is laying also on the shop floor in the manufacturing location. So you don't even need to ask for that. So number 5, as you know, all people are sensitive regarding big changes, and transparency is a big change. So you can play salami tactics. You can break it down to smaller steps and ask for smaller questions at the same time. By that, at the end, you will be able to collect all the answers you are looking for. And 6, don't forget to train people, as if you provide them a background information about the why. Why are you asking for this? Why is it important in the business? They will better support you. Remember that they are not maybe so close to the OEMs, so they might be not familiar with that, what you are doing. So finally, if you have reached the desired partnership and transparency, you can go even further. So again, let's go back to the same example here. And let's imagine that you are using a software, in this case, as you are using aPriori, and you have your own cost model with your own expectations, but you have a cost model, set it up for your partner according to their current situation. So that's what we call supplier cost model. Now let's imagine as well that your partner is also using the same tool, and he is able to calculate also the cost. Now, as these two are linked together, then the two partners are actually seeing the same cost if they are costing the part. And the benefits here are enormous. In this conference as well, there were some people talking about this, and I think if you reach out to your aPriori counterpart, they can talk more about that. But actually, if you think about this, you can actually almost reduce RFQs, and you spend a lot of time and resource just to work on RFQs. You can get rid of that. You can have an agreed cost structure with your partner, not just based on the values, but also the model is agreed. So what is it leading to? It's a full transparency, and you can think more about strategic steps. How do you come closer to each other instead of just repeating and repeating the same exercises across the RFQs? So finally, to summarize what we have been talking about, it's very important that you understand your partner. It's very important that you are thinking about the win-win-win situations. You align internally about the goals, and you develop a process that you are able to drive to results. Never forget that you want to create leverage. You can create the leverage with creating multi-sourcing. You can use market intelligence. You can play with the economic trends, and you can pull in new partners if needed. And don't forget, if you don't receive what you are asking for, you can very often go and get it. So at the end, I would like to say thank you for your time, and thanks to all who helped me to put this material for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and by that I would like to give back the word to Terry and Gina to see if there is any question coming up in the chat. Gina?
Okay, so one question is how detailed are these cost breakdowns that you are using with the suppliers?
So sorry, Gina, I couldn't hear the beginning of the question. Could you just repeat?
Yes, so how detailed are the cost breakdowns that you are using with the suppliers?
That's very different case by case. So I would say it's also depending on the category you are talking about. Obviously, there are categories, there are kind of parts where the transparency is much more different than in the mechanical part. So if I want to tell you two extremes, maybe there are suppliers where you are having a 5-element cost breakdown, and maybe you have a supply base, a set of suppliers where you are doing maybe 200 or 300 line items as well, where you are discussing the cost. I hope this is answering the question of the audience. Anything else, Gina?
So another question about the transparency. So how long on average does it take to reach the transparency and drive the transparency with the suppliers?
In average.
Yes, and also there's another question, how do we get the suppliers on board? So I guess those are two that go together.
Yeah. I mean, what I experience in the industry is that maybe you don't want to overshoot transparency in the beginning. I think there is a big fear with transparency in the industry, and sometimes it's a better approach that maybe you start with the lower level transparency, meaning maybe you don't ask just 10 questions about why do you need to pay that cost. And once people are getting used to that level, then you are starting to go deeper and deeper. This is how we are doing that as well. So it's more like a journey for me. And if you ask me, for us, if we are very strong and the industry is expecting, then it can be one strong RFQ package, right? Where you are able to motivate your suppliers to get the transparency you want. In worst case, maybe somebody is not really supporting you in transparency. Maybe it takes you a year or a year and a half until you get the motivation at the right place. So it's quite different by partners as well. And the second question was, Gina, sorry, what?
So how do you get suppliers on board?
On board with the transparency. As I have been talking about that, power is very important. If you have the power, then most of the suppliers are following you. If they are feeling that you have the power, then they will do what you want. But also just remember that if you are pushing this too hard, then the acceptance of your partner is getting lower and lower. So my suggestion is to share with your partner, why are you doing that? And once you are sharing, you get them comfortable with what is happening and why is it happening. And then actually this will be a natural thing for them to provide the transparency. I hope that helps.
Okay, so another question is that what are you using? What kind of automation are you using to analyze the big data?
So in our case, actually we have some home developed tool, and some of them are still Excel based. Some of them are more coming from a business analytics provider, which is more like if you think about the website, where you are able to load a lot of information from a database, and then you can create different graphics with that. And it's very good to understand big amount of information. You know, if you think about the global RFQ, where you are RFQing maybe just 50 parts, maybe 20 suppliers, and the cost breakdown is 100 line items, then you can calculate how much data you will get. And to oversee this and figure it out, what do you want to do and how can you utilize that data, it is very important that you have the right capabilities and resources in place to be able to drive it to results. Okay.
Okay, so maybe another question. So are you already using these automated RFQs, the solution that you were talking about?
Oh, not yet. Actually, I'm quite excited about the discussion which happened to me just last week, where one of our procurement lead was expressing by his own this wish, and I'm very certain that this is where the industry is heading, and this is where I would like Harman to head, because I think this is the ultimate solution for everybody in the future. Anything else, Gina?
So there's a question which I think maybe we can talk about in general. So what happens when there is a very big difference between the supplier price and the shoot cost that you calculate?
I mean, all the time, the first step is a gap analysis. So gap analysis, what we call gap analysis is that on the left side, we put our shoot cost calculation, on the right side, the information from the supplier. And we try to break it down by line item, what are the differences. Therefore, that's the reason why I mentioned templates in the beginning, because somehow if you are not working with a template, which is the same template you are using for your internal calculation and your partner is providing, then you are not really able to compare those. So that's the first thing. And actually, if the gap is that big, then obviously you can leverage different things. So you can leverage your technical know-how, right? So if the gaps are coming from technical things, then what you need to do is that you start to dig into those details as deep as possible in the technical details to understand their technical assumptions and compare with your technical assumptions. I would say also that if the gap is that enormous, then maybe it's also a relationship topic. Maybe that's also an interest topic. Maybe the interest is not there, because I would assume that cost engineers spend a lot of time to and resource and know-how to develop that cost model. So the accuracy of the cost models I have seen so far in my experience are quite accurate. It's rarely happening that they are not accurate. In most of the cases, if you are able to drive that to the supply base, then most of the cases the cost model is confirmed by the suppliers. So if the gap is very big, then maybe you want to also dig into the relationship topics to understand that the motivation, or to ensure that the motivation is on the level as you want to have.
Okay, Daniel, thanks ever so much. I think we're pretty much at the end of our time slot here. So I just wanted to thank you, Daniel, for those insights. I especially liked the salami tactics, and for some reason I feel very hungry. But anyway, I'd also like to thank
Terry, salami is one of the main products of Hungarian agriculture. So
oh, well, there you go.
Maybe this is too Hungarian specific where I'm coming from.
Very good. There were some great questions there from the audience as well. So thank you very much for your participation. Thanks again. I hope you enjoy what's left of the conference, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Wish you a nice day. Take care.